Hey guys, Robert here. Just doing my first review of a computer game. Thought I'd go ahead and review Aerofly FS because uh, probably like most of you guys was pretty curious about the game. Just see a few videos floating around out there on YouTube, but not entirely too many. And as somebody for myself who's still fairly new with flight simulators, didn't really know much about it either, so I went ahead and picked up the game on Steam probably just a few weeks ago. Didn't play too much, but thought I'd go ahead and play it today and then post a video about it, and maybe it'll help you guys decide on what you want to do about purchasing this game. But so far, it's not like a full simulator. I know even with FSX, which is a game I normally play, not every single button in the cockpit, excuse me, is fully clickable. Only just a few things you could actually work with, but all the dials down here that you see, nothing you can actually click. It's a pretty basic game. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe the people that made this game actually were making remote control airplane little simulators that you can actually fly, and then they went ahead and just implemented that into a kind of like a flight simulator game like we see. Graphics in the game are actually really good. Of course, you can see the cockpit here with the volumetric shadows on the inside. Really just a crisp and clean looking game. You can even see the reflections under there, under the wing. The modeling on the inside just looks fantastic. I mean, just the reflections from the plastic. You got the little window on top here, and of course you can even see through the back. I mean, just a really nice looking game. Of course, they got you flying around just in Sweden. I don't know if they're going to release any other map packs or other territories that you can fly, but for now, just Sweden is available. But it is some pretty nice scenery to look at and fly through. But we'll just go ahead and just get taken off here and just let you guys kind of view the game for yourself. Let me just go ahead and add a notch of flaps here. I'm gonna go ahead and slowly give it some throttle. And just to let you know, I'm not a real life pilot, and nor am I a flight simming professional, if there is such a thing. Again, I'm a pretty new in the whole flight simming thing, and as you can see, I can't even keep it straight on the runway, pretty obviously. But the modeling of the buildings are actually really good in this game. Really detailed on some of these. Now, I know not all buildings are, but some, especially around the airport, are very highly detailed. I do notice the game too also is pretty easy to fly, so even for beginners to pick it up, you'd be able to pick this up rather quickly. Again, especially with the simplicity of it, not a lot of buttons to click. You're not doing any mixture settings. You're not doing any prop pitch, which for somebody like me is a little bit of a letdown. I kind of like the more realism, the better. I do have, as far as the simulator settings, at full realism, which again, it does give you a pretty good feeling in the air. Even with Flight Simulator, Microsoft's Flight Simulator, I kind of feel the plane is just a tad stiff in the air, and even when you have the wind settings up high, you don't get that feeling like you're floating or sailing through the air. And this one here, it actually does a pretty good job of it. Of course, I got the wind settings at minimal settings at the moment, but whenever you have them up pretty high, you could actually feel the plane really dipping when you hit those thermal pockets, and it really gives you kind of a nice feeling to an actual what it would feel like to fly a plane. Again, I've never actually flown one myself. I've been in one, small planes like this, but have never actually flown one. But as you can see with the scenery, seeing as how they just limit it to the Sweden area here, I mean, it's did a really good job of modeling it. They even did this kind of a neat thing where if you go into, if I can find it here, show terrain features, there we go. It's actually kind of a neat thing. You can actually see little points of interest, the names of certain mountains and towns, in where you're flying. It actually points it out to you. I thought that was kind of neat, especially if you're not familiar with this area, which I've never been in this country, but to just see what you're actually looking at is actually pretty neat. It'd be especially neat if you lived in that area, and then you can actually just point out the towns that you were living in. And a little selection of aircraft. Let's go ahead and take a look at that here. Of course, they give you a choice between the Cessna, a glider, a discus, and then the extra 330. I kind of would have rather seen the extra 300 and not the 330, but it's no big deal. And then they give you an F-18 and another glider and another biplane there. And of course, that one's for doing all your tricks and flips. It's one of those stunt planes, much like the 330, only the biplane version. And then a little Robin to fly around, and even a Sopwith Camel there. That was actually kind of a neat thing to see. But let's just go ahead and stick with the Cessna just for now. While we go ahead and look around at some of the other land features. Of course, they just give you some simple views to choose from. Switching the seats, you can actually see the pilot there. Not the greatest modeling of look for the pilot. She looks pretty stiff. And then a little bit of a backseat view, which I thought was kind of neat, especially when you're turning, given a different perspective of somebody who would be in the backseat. And then of course just your basic kind of behind the aircraft look. One of the things I was also kind of hoping that this game would have had was a little bit better weather choices. I mean, you could turn the wind up, you could turn the fog up and down to where the fog actually gets really thick. If I could actually find that in the conditions here. There we go. You could actually turn the fog up to where you're just flying blind. I mean, you can't see a thing. But as far as rain or snow or any of that, no, yeah, I mean, we got nothing like that. Just pretty much your wind and clouds. That's about your only choices from weather. Maybe hopefully in the future they'll actually give you like an upgrade or something, a little addition to realistic weather, maybe some changeable weather. That would be great. But for now, they kept it pretty simple, you know. And for $30 off of Steam, it's, I guess you can say, you know, just to try it out, just a game to fly around. It's pretty worth it. You got 30 bucks lying around, which I know these days, not most of us don't exactly have $30 just lying around, but it's worth it, in my opinion. Again, like with the shadows inside, as you're even turning the airplane, you can see all the volumetric shadowing. I mean, they did a great job on modeling on the inside of this plane. I mean, it's a beautiful plane. But let's go ahead and try out some of these other planes. There's one that I wasn't really too particular on. Go ahead and restart myself back here at the main airport here where they have you taken off. And let's go ahead and hop maybe into this extra 330 here. Takes just a smidge to load. Not too bad. Loading times aren't too horrible. Of course, we got here the 330. Nice open cockpit. Really like the view on this one. But what I kind of noticed with these stunt airplanes, especially with the biplane, again, I'm not a real pilot or anything, but it just feels extremely touchy in this game, and almost a little too unrealistic. Like here, right? I mean, it just barely moved the stick, and this thing is just bouncing around and feels really weird. You know, just give it a slight bit of rudder. I mean, I'm just barely moving my rudder pedal right now, and this thing is just all over the place. Which, you know, again, I've never been in one of these in real life, but compared to other flight simulators, the way they have there, more stunt planes react. This just feels extremely exaggerated, but I don't know, maybe for some of you guys you'd actually like that. But as you can see, even with this turning, it just looks almost cartoonish, just kind of not realistic at all. But I do like it for the fact that you have such a degree, just a large degree of viewing. I do appreciate that one for sure. But again, just a little bit harder to handle the fact that it's just so sensitive and not really one of my favorites in flying this game is this plane here. Let's go ahead and try out, let's go out and try a different one. Let's see here. The same thing, really simple simulator, nothing too fancy. You know, none of the buttons are clickable or anything like that, but they also give you an F-18 to fly in this game, which is pretty fun. I mean, it really kind of shoots around the world here pretty fast. And they also have one view that's part of this one here, if I could find it, that I thought was kind of neat, where when you're actually taking off, you could actually see from the kind of like a cockpit camera, if you will, view. So I'm going to go ahead and try taking off in this view, and hopefully I won't mess it up. That you could actually see the guy doing his controls, which I thought was kind of neat. Nice little attention to details, but kind of hard to take off in this view. Let's see how well I do. You can see his. Oh, well, I'm already not doing good. Took off way too late. Good thing the can't run into trees, otherwise I would have bit it there. You can even see his thighs move though, and his feet with the yaw. That's pretty neat. But it just gives you a really neat looking view here whenever you're taking off from the ground in this aircraft. There we go. See if I can switch it back to a view that I could actually see where I'm going. There we go. Of course, the game works really well if you have track IR, really fluid movements when you're looking around and leaning back, leaning forward. Really pleased with that. Of course, anybody who flies flight simulator games on a regular basis, I highly recommend track IR. I ended up finally picking it up myself only just about maybe a month and a half ago, and I tell you what, I just don't even know how I played any of these games without track IR. I can't recommend it enough. But yeah, as you can see, I mean, it's a pretty simple flight simulator. There's no missions that I can really see other than they have missions of real simple, not even really missions per se, but challenges. Here's what they call challenges, and just simple stuff like flying straight through these boxes in certain aircraft. With the jets, you know, they have you just flying in a circle, really basic, flying upwards in a spiral. I mean, they're really kind of lame, to be totally honest. I mean, they're not hard at all. I mean, some of these have the acrobatic type things that you can do, slow roll and a barrel roll, and you have to hit all these little green box targets, but I'm not even really going to go through any of those just because they're pretty weak sauce. I don't even know what to say about that. So again, with really lacking missions, it really kind of hurts a game like this. I mean, because there's only so much you can do. I mean, once you fly around through a couple of green boxes, and once you just kind of fly around with planes that you can't even really click any buttons on, it's not really a full simulator. You're just flying through a three-dimensional world, and that's about it. I mean, at least with other simulators, they give you a little something with it, but this one's pretty limited. I'm gonna see if I can find my airport back so I can land this thing. Let's take a look here. Where did it go? Now, if I can just find it back. As you can see, I don't exactly know my way around this area, especially. Okay, maybe I won't be able to find it. Where's that one over there? Let's go check this one out. Okay, where'd it go? I know it's over here somewhere. Thought I just saw one. Thought I saw it. Thought I saw it. Still can't find it. Okay. Thought I saw one. Oh well. I'll just go ahead and set it back. Let me try another aircraft though anyway. Oh, let's see what else we can try. They give you this little robin here. That's kind of a neat little plane. Not too bad, but again, I don't know how the flight dynamics would be in real life, but this is probably one of the more realistic feeling planes compared to the stunt planes for sure. Again, really nice modeling inside. I do like the cockpit actually on this one. It gives you a pretty good wide viewing here off to the side, and as you can see, I'm not paying attention whatsoever for what I'm doing. Maybe I'll just fly around this airport here really quick so you can see the way the modeling is done here. Again, really well. I mean, it looks great. The game looks good. Flight dynamics are just, you know, okay enough, I guess. But maybe not up there with some games. But really, with the lack of any kind of missions in this game, that's really kind of a letdown. But just definitely a visually stunning game. But I guess that's really all I can talk about it. And not really too much else in there, except for, you know, you're limited to Sweden. You have pretty lame challenges. Your plane selection is mediocre, but again, for only like $30, you know, just spend some rainy day money if you're stuck inside and you want to just kind of fly around and experience it for yourself, then yeah, it's worth the 30 bucks to pick it up. But anyway, I'll just go ahead and leave it at that. And if you have any other suggestions of maybe some other reviews in the future, just go ahead and leave a description below and let me know if there's any other games you'd like to see played, or maybe even more of this game, and maybe other planes that you'd like to see, seeing as how I didn't actually try them all. And just yeah, leave a comment in the description below. Thanks.